Hi, Randy, K7AGE with Hamshack Chat 7. Boy, say that fast. That's kind of a mouthful. First video for 2011. My goal is to be making more videos in 2011. I know I've received many comments about when people can expect more videos. So this is the first one of the new year. Hope everything's going well for everybody. Got through the holiday season. I had some time off during the holidays and worked quite a bit of DX with the gray line in the evenings, just as the sundown time. Worked India and, Africa, Antarctica a couple times. A fellow was on from the South Cook Islands, and so I had a lot of fun working some more DX. So I thought this video would be mainly, I would just go through some of the comments and emails that I've received both through YouTube and direct emails to me. So we'll take a look at the first one here. First message through YouTube is from Russell, KF5JJJ in Grapevine, Texas. He writes, I'm only 3 weeks into my tech, very good, but I'm going for my general this Saturday. So I think that was yesterday. I'd originally only planned on getting a handheld for 2 meters, but watching your videos have pushed my wants towards 6 meters as well. First of all, great news on going to get your general. I always recommend to people when I get a question, or announcement that they've just passed their tech, I go right back to them and say, work on your general right away. While you're into the studying and some of the theory and stuff is hot in your mind, spend the time to get going on your general. Once you get your general, there's going to be so much more in the world of ham radio that will open up to you. 6 meters can be fun. It can be really quiet though. So 2 frequencies you kind of hang out on there. 50.125 is kind of the sideband calling frequency. So listen there. If the band's starting to open, that's probably the first frequency you'll hear. Another area that a lot of people play around with 6 is on FM. So 52.525 FM is another frequency you can listen for with your radio set squelched. And when you start hearing activity there, you know the band's starting to open up. Another thing you can do is watch the DX clusters. You can even set filters to only let 6 meter postings to come through. So Russell, let me know how you did on your general. Even if you didn't pass, let me know. I'd be anxious to hear. And congratulations on getting your tech the last few weeks. Okay, the next message is from Bill, K8WHT in Akron, Ohio. And he says, if I may, I would like to know how you have your TS2000 set up for PSK. I'm receiving fine with Digipan per your YouTube videos. Very well done, by the way. However, I've been told I was transmitting on the subband while having the radio control on the main band. Now, I didn't think that was possible. Maybe I missed a setting that you may know of. He's using a signal link USB with the 2000. Probably the first thing to check is that you're not working split. So what I would try is just keying up with your microphone and see if you see the display change. Is it going somewhere else? Is it going to the other band? And you're probably in split. If your signal link is wired into the back of the radio, probably on that 19 pin DIN connector, I haven't checked my manual, but it may be possible to wire that up so it works either on the main side of the radio or the subband side of the radio. And there may be 2 push-to-talk lines. So there may be something wired there wrong, or maybe the header, there's a little header. Thank you for new mail. There's a little header that goes inside the USB signal link, so maybe that isn't jumpered properly. So my hunch is that you're either operating split or that is wired incorrectly, and when it goes into transmit, it's keying up the 2 meter or 450 side of the radio. It's my thoughts. Check the manual, check the wiring, check your settings. Okay, next message here received through YouTube, I believe, was from Cole. VK5HCF from Mount Gambier, South Australia. A little bit of DX in the mailbag today. Hi Randy, he says, first I would like to thank you for the excellent videos you placed on YouTube. Very informative and helpful to us New Age Challenge amateurs. What does that mean? New Age Challenge amateurs. Anyway, I was watching your PSK drive level setup video and my interest aroused when I saw the bit on Quick Mix, as they seem to have a knack for wiping out my headphones on the sound card when switching between PSK, Skype, and such. He says, I've looked for Quick Mix, but the software seems to be withdrawn. Can you point me to something similar, please? Oh, boy. Don't know. That's the only one I've ever been able to find, and I just checked on the web, and sure enough, that product has been withdrawn. My understanding is that it also only works with Windows XP. So in the Vista and Windows 7, I don't know of any utilities that would be able to save and recall the sound card settings. Sorry, it's a very useful app. If you have XP, I don't know if I could send you it. I don't know if there's an installer. I do have it on a couple of my computers here. It was very handy, and I know I use it quite a bit. The next is from Paul, K2DB. Hey, decibels, cute. Hi Randy, good morning and Happy New Year. I was wondering if you have a file or directions for using Skype with TRX Manager for the phone modes. No, I don't. I just use Skype, point it towards the sound card that's being used for the radio, and with your typical sound card interface, you should be able to hear your radio through Skype. Getting it to transmit can be a little bit harder with TRX and some of the programs. I know this has come up a couple times in the past. I know I had to struggle a little bit with this. What happens is that depending on how you key the radio will select where the sound from the computer goes out through the radio. I use the Rig Blaster on my 2000 and it connects in through the microphone. But I believe sometimes if you use a CAT command or maybe the push to talk off the back of the radio, it wants to use a different audio source. So I don't have the answer right off the top of my head, but you have to do a little research in the manual and such to see where your audio is connected to, and when you go into transmit, is it really using the audio from that port? Don't have the exact answer, but I'm trying to point you in the right direction here. Hope that helps. I've been using it for a long time, but only use it for CW. Okay, the sound interface, I guess. And he asks, are there any certain parameters I need to set either in Skype or TRX? Again, Skype, you point it through the sound card that you're using to interface to the radio. In TRX, it's going to be what method you use to key the radio. I use the little transmit button on the radio control panel. I bleed through the CAT. I know I had to play with that quite a bit in order to make the sound from the computer go out through the radio. I don't use Vox. I just would rather use the push to talk. Something you have to experiment with, and hopefully I've pointed you in the right direction there. Thanks. Next one from John, W5FFS from Texas. And it's another PSK question here. It says, hi Randy, I've watched almost all your videos on YouTube and was most impressed with the detail that you put in the videos. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but I think it's well worthwhile. You know, the PSK videos now have several 100,000 total viewings. In fact, my total viewings of all my YouTube videos is almost 1.7 million. So a lot of people have been watching these, and thanks everybody who's watching all the time. Is there some hard copy instructions? Well, Digipan has a fairly good help file, so I would take a look at that. That's, of course, generic. It's not radio specific. But I found the help to be pretty good. It even has sample schematics in there for the simple interfaces and how to build a single transistor to key the radio for the push to talk. I think you've probably found all my PSK videos. I have one on PSK operating. Well, the first one is the introduction. Then there's another one on PSK operating, where I show some of the setups that you need for your QSOs and such. There's another one that I spent a lot of time on, how to set the transmit level so that you're linear, so you're not distorting, so you're not wide, causing problems on the band. And then there's another video on sound card interfacing, some of the basics for that. John states here he's using a Dell with Vista, a Signal Link, an FT950 at 35 watts, a G5RV light up about 25 feet, and the usual cables. Yeah, there's a lot of cables in this wireless business. You know, look underneath the desk back here and the cables and the dust bunnies. It's not a pretty sight. And he says, being an old boat anchor ham licensed in 1954 as WN, back in the novice days, 5FFS, I have trouble learning newfangled gadgets. Well, a lot of the radios now have a lot of menus and such, and I'm sure your FT950 has quite a few things you can be poking at through the menus there. Also have Collins radios. Those are collector's items, very highly sought after and collected, where he says, where you peak the grid and dip the final. Back when we had to tune a transmitter. We take a lot for granted these days. So Randy, I really enjoyed your videos. Your help would be appreciated. I wish we had more good help like you gave me. Glad to do it. Really enjoy putting the information out there for everybody to watch and learn and try new things. There was one other thought, but it's alpha particle. Oh well, if I come back, if it comes to me again, I'll bring it up in another segment here. From Bob, KD7MTI from Brentwood, Tennessee. Randy, boy, it's PSK day. Randy, your video on PSK cleared up a big mystery and I was able to quickly come up to speed. I've had a lot of people say that, you know, they've read about it in QST and magazine articles, but it just never really seemed to click once they saw the video, especially the first one where I get people receiving with just a microphone. It really gets them hooked. And in fact, when I'm on 20 meters running PSK, I bet 1 out of 3 QSOs, somebody comes back to me and says, oh, you know, I've seen your videos, I'm on PSK, and because of that. So I'm really glad to hear those comments back. He says, I bought the Aero antenna, but never made a contact. Knew I needed a tripod. Your video is great. Now I know that I can just buy a tripod. How's that for being clueless? I was dreading trying to buy one to use with my antenna. Well, I think as Bob figured out, it's fairly straightforward. The Aero antenna is tapped back by the handle for a 1/4 inch 20 thread, which is common on basically all the consumer level tripods that are out there. I looked up, in fact, I've looked up just about everybody here on QRZ, and Bob is a very brave ham. He has stated his goals for 2011 publicly for everybody to go out and see. So just kind of, I'm going to read these here, and maybe it'll help you guys maybe put some goals out there for your amateur radio year ahead of you. Some of his goals are to upgrade to extra. That's a big step. Do it. Then you can go anywhere, have all the privileges. Talk to a satellite. Well, he's got the antenna. He probably has the radio. Now he just needs to put it together and maybe just go back and watch those videos again. And, you know, when you start out a new mode, I know everybody's real anxious and stuff, but probably the best thing is to listen a little bit. So get the system set up, learn how to use the satellite tracking, the frequencies, and listen for the passes. And do that for a couple days. Once you start hearing the guys, you'll hear how they operate, and that'll help you then step ahead and do that. Put up a nice 2-meter base antenna. So either a nice vertical or maybe a beam if you want to get into a rotor. But a vertical will probably do if you're mainly just looking for repeaters. Install an FT2800 in my 2000 Ford Thunderbird. I believe that's a 2-meter single band mobile radio. Get that installed. Have Echolink mode running with my other 2800 at home. That's fun. When I have my Echolink on, I have it with an Echolink interface to an FT7800, which is a dual band, kind of the step up from the 2800. And I run that on 446.00 FM. So, going to get his link up and running. Buy an oscilloscope and spectrum analyzer. Well, the oscilloscope is a real handy piece of test gear to have around the shack. The spectrum analyzer is really the frosting on the cake. If you can find one of those at a reasonable price, they're really interesting to have. The scope I would focus on the scope first. Fix my 20-meter rock mite and finish my 40-meter rock mite. Well, there's a couple construction projects that are on the bench. Fixes MFJ 9020. I'm not sure what that is. Go to Dayton. Yes, everybody should try and get to Dayton at least once in their ham radio lifetime. I was last year. I don't think I'm going to be going this year. Visit 10Tech Vibraplex and buy a 10Tech radio and use his Vibraplex bug more. So Bob really sounds like he does a lot of CW. If you look on his QRZ pages, you'll see that. Let me see. Install a wire antenna so I can work 10 through 80. Yep, you need the antennas up. And here's a challenge. Worked all states CW. Work all 50 of them. Now, one of the ways you can kind of help with that is get involved with some of the contesting. Now, you don't necessarily have to contest, but use the contest, and especially the ones that are using the states as part of their exchange. And you'll spend a lot of time receiving and picking out those states. And when you hear one that you don't have, go after it. So a contest will bring out the stations. Again, Bob, very interesting for posting your goals for 2011. Good luck. Let me know how you do with them. From Don, KF7GYC, West Valley, Utah. And Don's message is fairly short. He says, hope all is well. Hi, Randy. Haven't seen your new videos from you in a long time. Hope all is well with you and yours, and hope to see some videos soon. All is well. Haven't had any health problems or anything. I don't know, been lazy or been involved with other things. So the goal is more videos for this year. Thanks a lot. Bruce, K5BAB, stroke HR1 from Houston, Texas, or Honduras. Must be in Honduras if he's signing /HR1. Hello, Randy. Thanks for the videos. You're welcome. It was a lot more fun. It was a lot more fun, and I learned quicker to have somebody talk me through something new. You did a great job with your old PSK 31s. What a fantastic mode. And like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, when they see it, it really sinks in faster than trying to read about it. Takes a lot of the mysteries out, and it usually looks easy once you have some help. So glad I helped you and many others along with both the PSK series and the satellite videos. Okay, the next email is from Oregon. Now it's Swedish, so I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of your name. I apologize. The thing I do know is that your Sugar Mike 0 India Victor X-Ray, SM0IVX, the universal name, so we can all pronounce it. Anyway, I'll just kind of paraphrase what he's asking for here. He has a ICOM shortwave receiver with an RS-BA1. I believe that's maybe one of these box receivers without a control panel, and you use your computer. And he says, I have succeeded to install it and run the LAN version on one gateway, but have problems to get it to work via internet with two gateways, parentheses ISPs, get connection failed all the time. So I'm looking for someone who has tried it and succeeded. I have watched your remote control videos and thought maybe you have tried this too. Look forward to hear from you. See you later, 73. First, I'm not familiar with the radio, and it sounds like you probably have networking issues. If you're going through two gateways, I don't know if that means two routers. I know on some of these remote things, you really need to know the IP address of probably your first router, maybe the one that your DSL or your cable modem is connected to. those IP numbers will change. What I do, I have a computer I run pretty much all the time, and I run no IP on that. So what that does is watch the IP address of the router of my DSL line and reports it up to a web page. So I can log into a web page and see what my IP number of my router is, and then to get to something on the other side of the router, you would do your HTTP address to your IP number, I believe then a colon, and then the port number. And you may need to do open up a port and port forward inside your router. This all sounds very complex stuff. It's very similar to what a lot of people struggle with to make their Echolink stations work. You have to get those ports forwarded through your router. Otherwise, I'm not sure what else I can suggest. One thing I would look at, and this is relevant to many of the different radios out there. Just about every radio has a Yahoo group associated to it. So go to Yahoo. You may have to set up an account if you don't have a Yahoo account, and look for their groups, and then search for your radio by model number. And I follow a lot of radios over in Yahoo. It's fun just to join a Yahoo group when a new radio has just been announced. You can watch all the pre-ship traffic, and then the messaging when people first get their radios, and see how they're doing with their new radios. So I think I follow the TS2000, the ICOM 7000, the 817, the 857. So anyway, go look for your ICOM radio over in Yahoo, and you may find somebody in there who's either solved it, or you can send a message out to that user group world. Give it a try. Next is from Chris, KB3QMV in Darby, Pennsylvania. Questions about the 6-meter antenna video. He says, Randy, when you made any antenna, does it matter what type of metal to use? I came across a lot of copper tubing, and what would happen if you use other types of metals? Copper is a very common metal a lot of the guys use to build antennas, because it's nice because they can solder it just like you would do for your plumbing. You know, clean off the edges, a little bit of flux with the joints and stuff, and you can put together some nice antennas that way. It's probably not the first choice if you have to go buy the material, because it's probably more expensive than the aluminum. I don't think I would use steel. It just starts to get too heavy. So either aluminum or copper. And if you do some Googling, you can see some examples of guys building antennas out of copper. Look for the copper cactus J-pole antenna. Some construction articles out there. Also do a Google for plumber's delight antennas, and you'll find several different articles from guys using copper to build verticals or little beams and such. It works. Okay, the last message I believe here is from Matt, KC9SVJ in Woodstock, Illinois. And he has a PSK question. Yeah, it is PSK question and answer day. Randy, I found and enjoyed your videos on PSK. I just learned how to use it. I am enjoying making contacts with it. As it turns out, a ham friend of mine named Eric told me that he met you at Dayton. Boy, I go to a ham fest or something, and I probably had, I don't know, 50 to 100 guys come up to me at Dayton this year. So I am recognized. It's fun. I can tell you a little story about a year ago, maybe, if we have time. Anyway, I was telling him the problems I was having, and he recommended going on YouTube, and said there was a guy there with some good videos on it. As it turned out, I had already found them, and when I said your name, he remembered meeting you. Small world, yes it is. Anyway, his problem is I am having issues with my mouse acting all crazy when I am transmitting. I'm running an ICOM 718 Rig Blaster Pro with a laptop with a built-in mouse. Any ideas? Thanks for any help you can give a newbie. When you start seeing things like that happening, you're probably getting RF into your mouse cable or into the computer or something. So, how can you help fight this? Well, try separating the cables. If you can physically move them apart, that may help. Another thing you can do, let me get a cable here, is snap on some ferrites. This is a little snap-on ferrite choke here. It's kind of hard to see. It's two semicircles of ferrite, and it's in a little plastic case that snaps shut. So you click this open, and you can take a cable, and you just run as many turns through that cable as you can fit through the little hole in the core, and put that at the closest spot to the computer, and see if that helps. What this becomes is a filter, a blocking filter at radio frequencies, but allow the lower frequencies of the signals to go through. You can buy these at Radio Shack. They're, I don't know, probably $4 or $5. They come in different sizes and shapes. You'll see that's what these lumps are you see on a lot of cables for different things. You could try grounding everything. Ground your radio to your, you said you got a, yeah, take and ground your radio, and your rig blaster together, and your computer. The computer can be somewhat hard to find a place to get a ground to. What a lot of guys do is that, like, if you have a like a VGA port that has a little screws on the back, if you can find a little screw, maybe from an old D connector or something, you can use that to screw down a wire onto that connector on the screw post on the computer, which is to the ground. Try connecting everything together. That may help reduce that. And again, try some of these ferrites. These are handy things to have. Everybody should have a bunch of them. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Let me know how you make out more. Okay, so that's all the emails and messages for this video. Hope I've answered some questions. And one of the things I find with ham radio or this type of hobby is that we're always trying new things and hooking stuff together, and it can be really frustrating when things don't work. So sometimes the best thing to do is just turn it all off and just walk out of the shack for a day and think about it. You know, sometimes you'll remember, oh, I need to change that menu, or did I move a cable because I was doing something else? So a lot of what we have to do in ham radio is troubleshooting and problem solving. So I received a message from a fellow once. He mentioned, you know, obtaining your ham radio license is a license to learn. So that's kind of what we're doing here. We're learning how to use a lot of these different pieces of equipment, software, be able to hook them together and make a system out of all of this. So so maybe if the questions weren't directly relative to you guys today, maybe some of the troubleshooting insights that I tried to pass along, things to try, they can be used for a lot of various general things. Again, sometimes some ferrite filters will help some interference, grounding some things together. You know, sometimes you just got to shut it off, get a cup of coffee, and get the user manual and go out and really kind of understand what those pins mean on the back of the radio. A good resource is the Yahoo groups. There's typically a group for almost every radio out there, and you can join that and maybe go look at some of the archives, do some searching, or pose a question. And typically there's some very knowledgeable people out there with the equipment or software that you're running that can give you a hand. Again, if you can reach me through the comments or the messaging email on YouTube. You can email me directly at k7age@k7age.com. I do ask, though, that you don't add me to your joke list, your news update, and all that funny stuff. I get enough of that anyway, and so please don't put me on your favorites list where you send out all the jokes to all your buddies and such. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm K7AGE on Twitter, although I do have my tweets protected, so I have to approve you. And if you go to my QRZ page, you'll see some of the things I watch with Twitter. Before I approve somebody, I'll typically go look at what you're posting, and if I really want to see things from you that I would be interested in reading and watching, go through the Twitter system. And so I'm sorry if it's mostly in a different language that I can't read. I probably won't okay you to get my tweets. If I see that your majority of all you're doing is retweeting somebody else, I'm not interested in following you. So I'm really interested in being involved with people on Twitter who are really interchanging ham radio type of messages. So I think that's about it for this video. Just maybe one other story about being recognized. In 2009, my wife and I went to England for Christmas. Her sister lives over there, and she's from there. And her sister lives in Southend, over in Essex. So we arrived on, I think, a Saturday afternoon, the Saturday before Christmas, and a big snowstorm, not as big as what they had or you guys had over there this year, the past several weeks. So anyway, on the way to Southend, we stopped at the Water and Stanton store in Hockley. My wife used to be a police officer, and she used to patrol that area, so she knew where the store was. In fact, she had stopped there before a couple times and picked me up magazines and things. So we stopped by the store. It was their pre-Christmas blowout Black Saturday sale. It's a shop right off the high street, and they sell a lot of consumer type electronics in the front, but in the back is where the geeky ham radio stuff is located. And they had a couple tables set up in there with some people from the local clubs and some handouts. There was a engineer, and I think his wife from Tokyo for Yesu was there, and she had a kimono on, and they had a table set up with some cookies and tea and such, and a lot of really interesting radios running there. Things like the FTX 9000, they had a Flex 5000 in there, the Kenwood D710 for APRS, a lot of equipment running in there. In fact, I had my Yaesu VX8R running GPS, and I looked on the display on the Kenwood and saw my call on there. So I probably wasn't in the store more than 5 minutes. No camera, no video, just poking around, just saying hi. And this old boy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, you're Randy. I've seen you on YouTube with your videos." And in fact, he says, "I have your videos on the club's homepage." So just goes to show you that it's a small world, and no matter where you end up, somebody may take and recognize you. So again, I say thanks to all the fans and my viewers. I really enjoy doing this, and I really want to get video active here in 2011 and get more content out there for you guys. Some of the subjects off the top of my head are a video on Whisper. I gave a talk at PacificCon, the ARL convention here back in October, on Whisper, and a lot of people who attended that asked me to do a Whisper video, so that's kind of on the list. One that kind of goes with that you can have fun is with JT65. Whisper's kind of a one-way beaconing system. JT65 now allows you to have a two-way conversation, exchanging some very specific style messages. I've thought about a video on working split, what that really means. See what else here. I still want to do one about building a simple 20-meter dipole and a 2-meter quarter-wave ground plane. Geez, I guess I'm putting out my goals for 2011 for everyone to see. So more incentive to get this, more incentive to get my act together and give you guys some more ham radio video content. I think that's enough for today. Time to pull the tape onto the camera, load it into the computer, fire up the editor, and clean up some of the mistakes here. 73, keep watching, and thanks for watching. Randy, K7AGE.